part of the reason that we have so many problems in the United States is, of course, and they're not happy that people like Zoomers, millennials, even some Gen Xers have become increasingly disillusioned and less patriotic over time. As we move away essentially from World War II and definitely from 9/11, patriotism has just dwindled because turns out the United States not a good actor most of the time. Surprise, we were out for ourselves in capitalism and in building an empire. And hegemony. So this is a video of a boomer being mad. This is not the boomer in question. The boomer is mad that Gen Z doesn't want to get drafted and fight in a war. And I am fascinated in why he thinks people would die for this country for any reason.
I just don't want to fight in a war we have nothing to do with.
Everyone's joking about getting drafted. Well, guess what, besties? I'm not going to get drafted.
From now on, I'm not American. I'm Palestinian. I'm Colombian. I'm Omani. I'm Japanese.
You guys say that prison is 50,000 times worse than serving in a war, because let's weigh out our options here, okay?
I'm not a pussy. I just don't want to fight in a war we have nothing to do with. And neither do 95% of people that are in the military right now.
So a lot of virtue signaling happening here. These guys always virtue signal with the things that they wear. What a badass. What is this guy? Jameson's not a possessive. You could put an apostrophe there.
Interesting. So the man in his bathrobe doesn't want to fight in war.
Man in his bathrobe. Can't have bathrobes. Can't have bathrobes. My daddy would never have a bathrobe. That's gay.
I understand. Do people want to go fight in another war with no mission, no end game, no vision of what winning looks like?
No vision of what winning looks like. I don't want to fight in any war. I don't want to fight a war to win either. I don't want to go smash some country. Why? For what reason?
Z, we're going to get to it. Thanks for coming back to Jameson's Travels. Don't want to fight. They don't want to go. I've done a video like this before. Let's see what this gentleman has to say. Stand by.
Do you know why people sign up for the military?
Why?
It's not because they want to risk their lives fighting for our country. It's because they come from low-income, underprivileged families, and this is the only way for them to better their lives, not only for themselves, but for their future families.
That is so common. A huge common thread of people that enter the military are people that just needed a way out of their situation.
Thanks for letting me know why people join the military. I appreciate him telling me. Now, there used to be a thing called patriotism.
Used to be a thing called patriotism. So patriotism should be earned. So this is another thing. This is crazy. Boomers have the same view on their parenthood, for instance. I bet the same guy is you have to respect your mom and dad no matter what they do. They're your parents or whatever. And, he's a shitty dad, guaranteed, that, whose kids fear him and don't really respect or love him. And it's just the same shit, right? They're in charge, so you have to give them your little worship. It's fucking cringe, man. That's cuck stuff. I think Jameson is a cuck.
It's a family tradition. Maybe you're from lower middle class, but it's a tradition. Granted, most of the people who died in wars historically have been poor white men from the South. That's a thing. But yet,
well, they're only mostly poor white men from the South because that's the most, number one, they lost a lot of war down there in the South. It happens when you're down in the South. You lose wars. It just is the thing that you guys do. The other thing, most importantly, is because they lost the Civil War. Let's talk about this. Because the South lost the Civil War and their entire economic policy was centered on chattel slavery, the unethical enslavement of people. I'm sure this guy he knows a lot about this. Because the South was centered on slavery, when slavery fell apart, they had to turn to the labor of their own people. But wouldn't you know it, a lot of them died in the war that they lost because they were slavers. And so you have a situation where you have now it's so much more complex than what I'm even going to say due to the integration of ex-slaves and all that. But you have essentially an undereducated, by design, an undereducated populace that is going to be super susceptible to the benefits of going to the military, which is like, a pittance for your literal blood and life, the possibility of you being murdered. And during the age of American expansionism, where we fought in many, many wars, and how can you expect? Of course, you have a Southern tradition of going to war. It's what you motherfuckers have been bred for. Like, and you don't. It's crazy that you can. They just don't see that they're exploited by the system that they advocate for. And like, he's like, yeah, it's tradition. Why is it tradition? We had fought some wars. Why did we fight wars? Well, and then you got to get into the why you fight wars shit. So why are you the ones that fight the wars and not the people that are in charge? Well, Gen Z grew up in a world where Afghanistan and Iraq were both constant in the background for their entire lives. They literally knew nothing else. It left them with no incentive to join the military. Absolutely. And I hit high school. They were drafting for Operation Iraqi Freedom and fucking shock and awe, post shock and awe military stuff. Just terrible.
Now, let's keep going.
Every single vet I've talked
Just his brain jumped off of
to has a list of physical and mental disabilities after serving. In fact, I even know one who had so many mental issues, he unalived himself in front of his entire family from psychosis. So am I a pussy for not wanting that? You guys love throwing around the term pussy, fruitcake, low testosterone, when in reality, I'm tall enough to step over 95% of you, and I grow so much facial and body hair, I can't even keep up with it. Just because I like men doesn't mean I have low testosterone. In fact, 25% of you have slept with a man at some point in your lives. You guys...
Is that true?
Yes.
Side note, 25% of dudes slept with a man?
Yes, that is true. And it would probably be higher if they didn't have such heteronormativity literally shoved down their throats. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from the young fella, I hear from a lot of Gen Z, you guys in the comments... The last video, I'll put the link in the comments. Gen Z don't want to fight, and you saw all the reasons. They didn't want to fight for Israel. They didn't want to fight for cutting off the stones of young boys, right? The more I go along, it's hard to argue the point.
What is the audio? What's going on here?
Right? Because we've taken away patriotism. Now, I still think one pump.
Okay, so how do you get patriotism? It's so crazy how they don't understand why people don't have patriotism. What is patriotism? Patriotism is a function of you really, really, really loving your country and then feeling as though you owe that country defense or offense, or you owe it yourself because it has offered you and your family enough that you're willing to sacrifice for the idea of it. We don't have that now, due to the fact that the idea of the country is not one that serves the people that fight its wars. If the idea of the country served the people that fought its wars, they would have people that want to fight wars for it. You want to fight a war for your family, I bet. There's a big so here's the thing. The boomers talking about being pussies. I'm not a patriot. I don't want to die for America. Not into it. You all would die for the person you love most in life. Like, each and every one of us, when it comes up to it, we would fucking full on, jungle survival of the fittest, rip another person in half if you had to, because we're little animals. We're capable of that. Caveman unga bunga shit. We have lizard brains. We got medullas. You got fight or flight. No one wants to put their fucking life away for this shithole where people like you just sort of scowl. Got my cat. You better drive fucking cats around. Got my Columbia. I'm real outdoorsy. I shoot guns. Fucking just always virtue signaling. Always.
And the military is not going to be a bad thing for most people. They go
Hoorah,
in, they learn some skills, perspective on life. Now, that's my take. What this guy's saying here is hard to argue.
just seem to be taking something to the grave or projecting something onto me.
Everyone's joking about getting drafted. Well, guess what, besties? I'm not going to get drafted because the second they announce
You're not getting drafted because even though women can be in combat arms jobs, they're not eligible for the draft. Maybe that. You notice that? They put a vote out in the House a while back. Should women be in the Selective Service? The answer was no. I mean, it's amazing.
that shit, first thing I'm going to do is go get braces. And if that doesn't work, me and my bestie are going to sit in the garage and break each other's left feet. And if that doesn't work, we're going to go get pregnant. And if that doesn't work, do you guys honestly think we're scared of going to prison? If a country can't get enough people to volunteer to fight a war, then you probably shouldn't be fighting it. Go ahead and get your senior citizen butt up and go fight it yourself. Cause
Fucking true. Get your senior citizen butt up and fight yourself. Absolutely, bro. Go back on another tour, dog. Patriots are the biggest deterrent of patriotism. Huge.
I sure the fuck ain't. Y'all really think
These people, it's unbelievable. Let's say there was a war that we all were committed to.
Let's say there was a war we were all committed to. Give an example of a war we could be committed to. Let's say there's a war we were committed to. There isn't one. Who's we?
I do think there'd be a problem with recruitment. I think half of the country would say, well, I'm for the enemy.
Literally, the Republicans do this all the time. Is this guy pro-Russia?
Like if the CCP came to the United States.
CCP, but you're pro-Russia. Fascinating.
They were taken over. I think you'd have 40% of the country say, okay, I'd be better, the best thing. It's not a threat to the democracy. It's a very weird timeline to watch.
What is with the audio mixing?
In my 50s, right? Watching this happen so fast. I'm going, wow.
we're gonna willingly show up to fight after we saw how y'all treated the people that were drafted into Vietnam? No, ma'am.
Now, the people that got drafted in Vietnam, you could go deeper.
Were treated poorly.
You could say, well, all the men, women who served in the GWAD, 20 years fighting in the desert, how they're treated by the VA. Thank you for your service. You could say that. Now, if you go in willingly.
Uh-huh. How they're treated by the VA. Interesting. Which is operated by the government, which you have patriotism for. Why? I need to talk to guys like this. I need to understand your fucking brains. He's literally saying all the reasons that this is like not like all the valid reasons that people have not to want to throw their life away for nothing.
But you're young, naive. You do one pump maybe. You're in the desert, a few tours of combat, and then you come back and you maybe messed up. It's such a traumatic, impactful event, right? And you get out and you're expecting like a workers' comp at a minimum, and you're sold this bill of goods. I think that's the problem. You're sold it. And then you find out, good luck. Thank you for your service. You'll be seen by a mental health therapist in 8 months. Good luck.
Wow, buddy. He's literally making it sound worse. It's crazy how much he's agreeing with these people.
Son.
All right. To answer your question, how did I get all of this covered? So
How do you think they got it covered? If you made it this far, I want to thank you. I don't have a Patreon, I have a Locals. Check.
I don't know what that is. Don't care.
See some content. I prefer you go there.
Wow, cool.
And TRICARE paid for this facial feminization surgery.
Uh-huh.
And I mentioned the VA a minute ago.
Okay, so you're upset about this trans person joining the military, but you just said that there was a problem that they didn't want to join the military.
Go. So is this where you want the resources, the finite amount of resource we have?
We don't have a finite amount of resources. We just don't. Like, of course we do, but we don't. Like, not for this. This isn't one of the finite resources. We have finite, like, fucking fossil fuels. We don't have finite abilities to do surgery for one trans person in the military. Like, this isn't what's going to break the bank, dude. Do you think maybe the military budget that's bloated that we don't need every year could be better reallocated? Military budget goes up every year. It's fucking bigger than the next 10 countries combined or some shit. Isaac Inanimate. My great uncle fought in the invasion of Vietnam, except not in Cambodia, where the USA was not officially supposed to be. He received a life-altering injury and didn't receive full benefits for it because he wasn't there until the 2000s when that information was declassified and he got his Purple Heart. The reason no one in my generation joined the military is because of that story. The military is the reason my family stopped joining the military. Yeah, that's crazy.
Placed on this. Did a video in the past. San Antonio's got a whole Center for Excellence for transition care.
Yeah, man.
So they're in the promotion pool. They're on light duty.
You were just 1 second ago. He was like, mental health care isn't good in the military, and then they improve it, and he's upset because it's aesthetically something that he's like not into. Dumbass.
Forever. They're not deployable. PT standards don't apply.
Yeah.
Done that in a prior video. You can check to see the DOD document on that.
In the military, and TRICARE basically has been upgraded and updated their policies over the last couple years to accommodate trans soldiers and the procedures that we need to become ourselves.
Maybe that's a recruiting tool now, right? I mean, how many of these people are there for real? There are 10,000 in the country?
Trans people? What? There's millions of trans people. Can you do some math for me? So he says like, oh, it's only like 2% of people. So 2% of the population is trans. Like 2.
They could go in, want to go in, eligible to go in, want to go in for the care so they can basically be on light duty, shuffling papers their entire career, getting paid.
Oh, no, not shuffling papers. Do you think that the paper shufflers are integral to the work that happens in the military? Or do you only respect people that have to go murder brown children or something?
Is on TRICARE, so I'm sure they're home. Not working, not being in the military.
Yeah, sure.
You're picking up the slack. Of course, they're getting promoted at the same rate.
We don't have enough military members, or we have too many? No. You have too many trans military members.
You are.
It's been a long time. You know, I've had to wait a long time for this, but eventually my time came around.
Right.
I had to, it was a process, you know, I had to go through all the evaluations. I had to get all the doctors involved. I had to get my commander, my command team, and all of them involved. There was so...
It's interesting. What is this right? Is it just so he's saying something during this clip, or does he actually have like a skepticism about this?
So many paperworks I had to get signed.
Paperworks? I mean, paperwork.
Shut up. Oh, my God. Good Lord.
I don't know what happened in the English language, but...
Oh, fucking...
Now, I bet there's a lot of paperwork. Because think about this. You get all this done. You see the nose...
All right. If you see this guy at the VA, don't give him good care.
Braces, of course, we're paying for. I'm sure there are fake...
Give this guy the runaround.
Installed. Chopping off parts. Expensive, right? Now,
chopping off
what
parts.
this person does on their own.
Not like when we shoot off parts of babies, when we shoot them in the Middle East. That's totally different. When we predator drone a wedding, that's not breaking any parts of anybody.
Rock on, do you? But now we're taking the finite resources away.
Oh, the finite resources.
You know, it's going different places. I understand.
Are we the greatest country on earth, or are we a little country that has to worry about one nose job? Are you fucking serious? Why don't we have any patriotism? We can't afford a nose job. Jesus Christ. Wow, what a glowing review of United States of America. Dumb piece of shit, dude.
Care is different than the VA, but there's only so much money they're allocating towards this cause. And then does this make us more effective? Maybe this is the recruiting pool Gen Z needs to go in, but how many people are there? I mean, this is shocking.
Is it?
Shocking. People sit by and go, well, what are you going to do? Don't be a meanie. You know, that's what I am. I've been told. I'm a big fat meanie on YouTube. Thanks for being here.
It's a big fat meanie. I think he's a pussy, honestly. I think he's a huge pussy. I think men specifically that are like that, like the usually military guys, police, sometimes a little jock action. But usually jocks are a little more humble than that, because they have been beaten before by a person. Military guys, though, they think that like violence makes them a man. It makes them a person that they can like. I'm better than you because I can commit violence. And it's like, ask him to come on the channel, Jay. He won't come on the channel. I would talk to that guy in a second, though. He would quit pretty early, though. He would rage quit on my ass. Ain't no fucking way. That guy cannot. Do you think that guy has been challenged directly to his face about his beliefs by many people? Hell no. Hell no. And he just gets fucking mad when he does, guaranteed. Be that little passive aggressive thing, though. Well, what are you little cork cop type bitch.